It was early morning when she left her small apartment to start another day at work. The streets were quiet, the air carrying the soft scent of rain from the night before. She walked slowly, lost in her thoughts about bills, groceries, and her plans for the weekend. She was used to living her life in routine, not expecting anything unusual. But that day, something changed everything. As she walked past a row of houses, her eyes caught sight of a small figure huddled near a fence. The child looked no older than 8, wearing clothes that were too large and torn in places. There was a bruise on the child's cheek, barely hidden under messy hair. Her heart tightened instantly. She had seen children in trouble before, but something about this one made her stop cold. The child flinched when she approached, pulling a thin blanket tighter around their shoulders. "Hey there," she said gently, keeping her voice calm and soft. "Are you okay?" The child didn't answer, just looked down at the ground. She noticed the fear in the child's eyes, the way they trembled slightly as if expecting a strike at any moment. She felt a surge of determination. She could not just walk away. She reached into her bag and pulled out a small snack she had bought for herself, offering it to the child. "It's okay," she whispered. "You don't have to be afraid of me." Slowly, the child took the snack, glancing at her but still silent. The woman smiled softly and sat down on the curb beside the child, giving them the space to feel safe. Over the next few minutes, she spoke gently, telling small stories about her day, about little things that made her laugh. She didn't push the child to speak, just offered comfort in her presence. Finally, the child whispered a single word, barely audible: hunger. Her heart broke. This child had been living like this, alone and scared, for who knows how long. She decided then and there to take action. First, she needed to know the child was safe. She called a trusted friend who worked at a local child protection center. While on the call, she kept talking to the child softly, explaining that someone would come to help, that they wouldn't be alone anymore. She could feel the child's tiny hands trembling in hers, and she squeezed them gently, offering a silent promise that things would get better. By mid-morning, authorities had arrived. The woman stayed close, making sure the child felt protected. There were questions, forms, and explanations, but she didn't leave. She knew the child's world had been unsafe for too long, and she refused to abandon them again. Finally, the child was taken into protective care, and she was left with a sense of relief and exhaustion all at once. Returning home, she couldn't shake the image of the child's eyes full of fear and confusion. That night, she lay awake thinking about the child's life, wondering how many others were suffering silently in the neighborhood. She made a quiet promise to herself that she would not forget this child, and would do what she could to help them grow strong and safe. In the following days, she kept in touch with the center, checking on the child's progress. Each update brought a mixture of sadness and hope. She learned that the child was hesitant at first, mistrustful of every new face, and yet, slowly they began to speak about their experiences. The woman felt a quiet pride in their bravery, knowing that her small act had created a ripple of hope in a life that had been dark for too long. Meanwhile, life continued around her. She went to work, paid bills, and met friends, but a part of her remained in that child's world, carrying their pain and their courage. She started noticing small things. Other children alone on the streets, families struggling in silence, people who seemed invisible to the world. Each observation strengthened her resolve to act, to make a difference wherever she could. Weeks passed and the child began to adjust to their new life in the center. They were learning to trust again, opening up slowly to caregivers and the woman who had reached out to them in the beginning. The woman would visit when she could, bringing small treats, books, and stories from the outside world. Each visit was a reminder that even a single person's kindness could be a lifeline. The neighborhood slowly became a little brighter in her eyes. She saw that hope could grow even in the smallest of spaces. The child's resilience inspired her, and she started thinking about ways to help more children like them. Perhaps a program, perhaps mentorship, perhaps simply noticing those who needed attention the most. One evening, as she walked home after another visit, she paused to look at the stars. She thought about the child and all the unknowns in life. She realized that true courage was not just in facing danger, but in choosing to care when it was easiest to look away. She smiled softly, feeling a connection to the child she had helped, knowing that they were no longer alone. And so, her life continued, intertwined with the child's in ways she could not fully predict. She had acted on instinct, on compassion, and it had changed both their lives forever. Though she did not know what the future held, she felt ready to face it, knowing that kindness, even in the smallest form, could ignite hope and transform hearts. She had seen fear, but she had also seen courage. And in that courage, she found a purpose that would guide her for years to come. After the child was safely placed in the care center, life slowly began to settle into a new rhythm for both of them. The woman kept in touch with the staff at the center, always eager to know how the child was adjusting. Each phone call and visit reminded her that healing was not an instant process, but a journey that needed patience and gentle guidance. When she first visited the child in their new environment, she noticed the wary look in their eyes. The child had learned to trust very few people, and she understood that earning that trust would take time. She didn't rush. Instead, she brought small gifts, a book with colorful illustrations, a pack of crayons, and a soft toy, and left them for the child to explore at their own pace. She knew that every small gesture mattered. The first few visits were quiet. The child would sit across the room, barely speaking, glancing at her cautiously. She would talk softly about her day, about ordinary things, carefully avoiding overwhelming the child. Sometimes she read aloud from the book she brought, creating a calm space where the child could simply listen and absorb. She noticed that the child's posture slowly relaxed, their hands no longer trembling as much, and their eyes began to flicker with curiosity instead of constant fear. As weeks turned into months, the child began to open up in small ways. A question about a drawing, a shy smile, a comment on a story. They were small but significant victories. The woman celebrated each one silently, knowing that trust was being built one tiny brick at a time. She also listened attentively, allowing the child to express thoughts without judgment, creating a safe space for emotions to be voiced. During this time, she also helped the child learn simple routines, reading a little every day, completing small chores, and understanding the importance of self-care. She taught them that it was okay to make mistakes, that their worth was not defined by what had happened to them. Slowly, she saw the child's confidence growing, their voice becoming stronger, their laughter slowly returning. Each step forward, no matter how small, felt like a victory against the shadow of the past. Outside the center, her own life continued. Work demanded her attention, and bills and responsibilities never ceased. But she made space in her busy schedule for the child. She knew that showing up consistently was part of the promise she had made to herself. When she first encountered the child, friends and neighbors sometimes asked why she spent so much time at the center. She would smile and say that every child deserves a chance to feel safe and loved. She didn't see it as a sacrifice. She saw it as a duty and a gift. She also started noticing the child's talents and interests. The child enjoyed drawing and storytelling, often sharing vivid images of imaginary worlds and colorful characters. She encouraged this creativity, providing materials and engaging in the stories, making the child feel heard and valued. Through art and imagination, the child began to process emotions that had been buried for too long, turning pain into expression and fear into courage. Every visit had its challenges. Some days the child would shut down completely, withdrawing into silence. On those days she didn't push. She would sit quietly, offering presence and comfort, letting the child know that they were not alone. She learned that healing was not linear, and that patience and consistency mattered more than words or actions. Meanwhile, the woman began to see subtle changes in herself as well. Her patience deepened, her empathy widened, and she realized that helping another human being heal also helped her understand the world and herself better. She began to notice other people's struggles more vividly, appreciating the quiet battles that went unnoticed. She felt grateful that she could be a small light in someone else's darkness. Over time, the child began to speak about past experiences, not in fear but with a tentative sense of empowerment. They talked about moments of pain and confusion, and the woman listened, never dismissing their feelings. She validated their emotions and helped them understand that the abuse they suffered was never their fault. With each story shared, the bond between them strengthened, built on trust, empathy, and a shared understanding of resilience. The woman also encouraged the child to dream. She asked what they liked, what they imagined for the future, what kind of life they wanted. The child began to imagine going to school, making friends, and someday having a safe home of their own. She helped them see that their future could be bright, even if the past had been dark. Slowly, hope took root in the child's heart. nurtured by consistent care and unwavering support. Outside the walls of the center, she also reached out to the community, sharing small insights about helping children in need without exposing anyone's privacy. She became a quiet advocate, spreading awareness about the importance of noticing, listening, and acting when children were at risk. Her actions inspired others to pay attention, creating a small network of support that extended beyond just one child. Months turned into a year, and the child's growth became evident. They were smiling more, speaking more confidently, and engaging in new activities at the center. Teachers and caregivers noted the change, crediting the child's resilience and the consistent support they had received. She felt pride, not in herself alone, but in the child's courage and determination to heal and thrive. Yet despite the progress, she remained mindful that the journey was ongoing. She continued to check in, to visit, and to provide encouragement. She knew that each step forward required continued support, and that the bond they had formed was essential for the child's sense of safety and belonging. Every hug, every smile, every shared laugh reinforced that trust and connection. In quiet moments, she reflected on the significance of these efforts. The child had come from a place of fear and uncertainty, yet now they were slowly stepping into a life filled with hope. She realized that what she had done, simple acts of kindness, presence, and unwavering care, had become a lifeline for the child. And in return, the child's courage, resilience, and growing joy had enriched her life in ways she had never imagined. As the days continued, she knew that the foundation she had helped build would support the child's future. The small steps of healing, the moments of laughter, the sense of security and belonging. All of these were part of a journey that would continue for years. And even if she could not be there for every moment, she had given the child something priceless, the knowledge that someone cared, someone believed in them, and someone would always be there to support them. With each passing day, she felt more certain that acts of compassion, no matter how small, could change lives profoundly. The child's story was one of many, yet it stood as a testament to the power of kindness, patience, and unwavering human connection. She smiled quietly to herself, knowing that in helping this child, she had not only made a difference in their life, but had also discovered the depth of her own heart, the strength of empathy, and the quiet courage it took to make a lasting impact. Time moved forward quietly, almost unnoticed, as the child grew into a young adolescent. The woman continued her regular visits, each one a small but significant moment that reinforced the child's sense of stability. The world outside continued with its own rhythm, but for the child, each day became a little brighter, a little safer, and a little more full of hope. The child had begun to thrive in school, showing curiosity and enthusiasm that had once seemed impossible. Teachers noted how quickly they adapted to learning, how they participated in class, and how they began to develop friendships. The woman was proud, not just of the accomplishments, but of the courage the child had shown in opening up to life after so much hardship. It was not just learning that had taken place, but a deeper understanding of self-worth and resilience. During this time, the woman experienced her own life changes. She had grown in her career, taking on responsibilities that required careful attention and focus. Despite the demands of work, she always made time for the child. She knew that consistent support was vital, and she balanced her own challenges with the responsibility she had taken on. Because it was not just a duty, it was a privilege. The child, now older and more self-assured, began sharing stories about their dreams. They talked about hobbies they loved, about books they wanted to read, about places they longed to see. The woman listened with genuine interest, asking questions and offering encouragement. She made it clear that the child's past did not define them, and that the future was full of possibilities waiting to be explored. Over time, their relationship deepened, no longer just one of caretaker and child, but of mutual trust and respect. The child felt safe to ask for advice, to express emotions, and to seek comfort in times of doubt. The woman provided guidance without judgment, nurturing the child's confidence and helping them navigate the challenges of adolescence. She celebrated small victories, good grades, new friendships, personal achievements, reinforcing the idea that effort and courage led to growth. There were challenges, of course. The child sometimes struggled with lingering fears, occasional anger, or moments of self-doubt. The woman faced these moments with patience and understanding. She offered strategies to cope, explained that setbacks were normal, and reinforced that they were never alone. These difficult moments, while painful, became opportunities to strengthen the bond between them, showing that love and guidance could withstand storms. Outside of these visits, the woman continued to observe the world with a new awareness. She noticed other children who seemed overlooked, families facing hardship, neighbors struggling silently. Her experiences with this child had opened her eyes to the unseen battles happening everywhere. She quietly offered help where she could, spreading kindness in ways that were simple but meaningful, checking in, listening, supporting, and noticing when someone needed care. As the child approached late adolescence, they started thinking about life beyond the center. They imagined going to college, exploring new careers, or even traveling. The woman encouraged these dreams, helping the child plan steps to reach their goals. They researched schools, discussed scholarships, and explored opportunities for growth. She reminded the child that ambition was not a luxury, but a right, that their past did not limit their future, and that with effort and support, they could achieve remarkable things. The child's trust in the woman also led to moments of candid honesty. They shared fears, uncertainties, and even regrets. The woman listened with empathy, helping the child process emotions and understand that mistakes and challenges were part of life. She emphasized resilience, patience, and self-compassion, teaching lessons that extended beyond academics or achievements, into the very essence of living fully and authentically. During this period, the woman also began mentoring other young people informally, sharing her experience and encouraging acts of kindness and responsibility. She used the story of her connection with the child as inspiration, without revealing personal details, showing that one person's care could change a life. Through this quiet advocacy, she built a small but meaningful community of support and encouragement around her. The child also began showing leadership qualities, helping younger peers, participating in community activities, and taking responsibility for their own growth. The woman encouraged these actions, proud of the child's ability to turn pain into empathy and strength. Each act of kindness the child performed reflected the lessons they had learned from her unwavering support. Showing the ripple effect of compassion, she also helped the child develop life skills, budgeting, cooking, and problem-solving, preparing them for the day when they would live independently. These lessons were taught with patience and humor, turning everyday tasks into opportunities for growth. The child laughed, stumbled, and learned, gradually becoming more self-reliant while still knowing they had a safety net in the woman who cared so deeply for them. The bond between them had become a defining feature of both their lives. The woman had become a role model, a source of stability, and a constant presence in the child's journey. In turn, the child's growth and resilience provided her with a sense of purpose and fulfillment that extended beyond her own achievements. Together, they navigated challenges, celebrated victories, and built memories that neither would forget. As the child prepared to take steps into adulthood, the woman reflected on the journey they had shared. She thought about the first day she found the child alone and frightened, and marveled at the transformation that had taken place. The child's courage, resilience, and willingness to embrace life had turned fear into hope, and despair into possibility. She knew that the future was still full of unknowns, but she was confident that the child was prepared to face them. The lessons of trust, compassion, resilience, and hope would guide them through challenges just as they had guided them so far. And while life would continue to evolve, the foundation of care and guidance they had built together would remain a source of strength for years to come. In quiet moments, she felt a sense of fulfillment that words could not capture. She realized that her life had changed as much as the child's, that her actions had shaped a journey of healing and growth that extended beyond her imagination. And she knew that this journey, though ongoing, had already created a legacy of compassion, courage, and human connection that would endure far beyond the walls of the center and the moments they had shared. Years had passed since the first day she found the child alone and frightened. The young adult they had become was now confident, independent, and filled with a quiet strength. Life had its own rhythm, and while the woman had always remained a part of their journey, she had begun to notice changes. The child, now grown, had transformed into someone ready to face the world, carrying with them lessons of resilience, hope, and courage. It was a quiet afternoon when there was a knock at her door. She wasn't expecting anyone, and curiosity stirred in her chest as she went to open it. Standing there was the young adult, holding a small package, a nervous but hopeful smile on their face. For a moment, neither spoke. The weight of years, experiences, and unspoken gratitude hung in the air, heavy but comforting. The woman invited them inside, and they both sat down in the living room, the silence filled with memories of a shared journey. The young adult began to speak, recounting their life after leaving the center, their struggles, successes, and dreams. They shared stories of challenges they had faced and overcome, moments where the lessons she had taught them had guided their choices. The woman listened, her heart swelling with pride, yet touched by the vulnerability in their voice. As the conversation unfolded, it became clear why they had come. They wanted to give back, to repay the kindness that had changed their life in ways words could not capture. The young adult spoke of opportunities they had created for themselves, the stable life they had built, and the ways they had tried to help others. They presented the small package as a token of gratitude, but its meaning went far beyond material value. It was a symbol of a bond that had endured, of lives transformed by empathy, courage, and unwavering support. Tears welled up in the woman's eyes as she realized the impact of her actions. The child she had once rescued, nurtured, and guided had become someone capable of generosity, compassion, and strength. It was a moment of fulfillment she could never have imagined, a tangible reminder that one act of kindness could ripple outward, shaping the future in ways that were both profound and beautiful. They spoke for hours, reminiscing about early days, small victories and moments of fear that had now been replaced with resilience and hope. The woman remembered the timid child, their eyes wide with uncertainty, and contrasted it with the confident, thoughtful young adult sitting before her. She felt a deep sense of accomplishment, not because she had changed the world alone, but because she had empowered someone else to change their own world. The young adult also shared how they had used their experiences to inspire and help others. They spoke of mentoring younger peers, volunteering in their community, and supporting children who were struggling. Each story reflected the values and lessons instilled by the woman's consistent care, empathy, resilience, patience, and courage. Her actions had set a foundation not only for one life, but for many others who would benefit from the child's strength and compassion. Throughout the visit, laughter and tears intertwined as memories resurfaced and new moments were created. They spoke of challenges, fears, dreams, and the future they hoped to build. It was a reunion not just of two people, but of two journeys intertwined, one of giving, the other of receiving, both of transformation and growth. As the evening progressed, the young adult expressed a desire to help the woman in practical ways. They had achieved stability and success, and they wanted to use their resources to support her, to ensure that the generosity she had shown them was reflected back into her life. The woman, though touched, gently reminded them that their growth and happiness were the greatest gifts she could receive. Yet she also understood that acceptance of their offer was another way to honor the bond they shared. They spent the rest of the evening planning how they could work together to make a positive impact in their community. Ideas flowed naturally. Mentoring, programs, community support initiatives, and small acts of kindness designed to reach those in need. The woman realized that their connection had grown beyond the personal, evolving into a shared mission to help others. The child she had once rescued was now a partner in spreading hope and support. The night ended with a warm embrace, a silent acknowledgement of the journey they had shared. It was a moment that encapsulated years of trust, resilience, and unwavering support. She felt gratitude not only for having made a difference in the child's life, but also for having witnessed the ripple effect of compassion, how one act of care could influence countless lives over time. As she reflected on the visit later, she felt a profound sense of peace. She understood that her role in the child's life had been pivotal, but the true power lay in the child's courage, determination, and willingness to grow. The reunion was a testament to human connection, the enduring impact of kindness, and the incredible resilience of those who, once lost and broken, could rise and create meaning, hope, and change. She went to bed that night with a heart full of gratitude, knowing that the young adult would continue to thrive, continue to help others, and continue to carry the lessons they had learned together. The bond they shared was unbreakable, not just because of their shared history, but because it had been forged in empathy, trust, and a shared commitment to human dignity and compassion. In the quiet moments that followed, she realized something powerful, that life's true value often comes from the connections we make, the lives we touch, and the courage we show in caring for others. The child's success and generosity were living proof that acts of kindness, no matter how small, could echo across years, shaping futures in ways that nothing else could. And she knew, deep in her heart, that this was only the beginning of a journey that would continue to inspire and transform lives in ways she could not yet see. The young adult had come into the woman's life many years ago, a frightened and uncertain child who had needed protection and care. Now, as they stood together in the woman's home, there was a sense of completion and continuity, yet also a beginning of something new. The bond they shared had matured into something deeper, a connection that combined respect, love, and a shared commitment to helping others. In the days that followed the reunion, they began working together on small projects in their community. The young adult wanted to ensure that other children like them would have support and hope. They organized mentorship programs, helped distribute resources, and created safe spaces where children could learn, play, and heal. The woman guided them, offering wisdom from her years of experience while learning from the young adult's fresh perspective and energy. They visited schools, community centers, and local organizations, sharing stories of resilience and courage. The young adult spoke about their journey honestly, showing children that it was possible to overcome hardship and build a meaningful life. Their presence was powerful, offering inspiration and hope to those who had faced challenges similar to their own. The woman watched with pride as her once little charge became a source of guidance and encouragement for others. Together, they also created a small scholarship fund to help children continue their education. They worked tirelessly, sometimes facing setbacks but never losing sight of their mission. The young adult's drive and determination, fueled by gratitude for the woman's kindness years before, became a force for change in the community. The woman marveled at how one act of compassion had transformed not just one life, but many others through the actions of someone they had nurtured. In the evenings, they would sit together, reflecting on the day's work. They shared stories, dreams, and ideas, planning for future initiatives. The young adult often expressed gratitude, acknowledging that without the woman's intervention, years ago their life would have taken a very different path. The woman, in turn, felt fulfillment, knowing that her kindness had grown into something much larger than herself. Their partnership was a testament to the power of empathy, care, and human connection. Life outside their community work continued as well. The woman maintained her career, balancing responsibilities with dedication. The young adult pursued education and personal growth, preparing to take even more significant steps toward making a difference in the world. Despite busy schedules, they always made time to check in with one another, reinforcing the bond that had been built over years of shared experiences and trust. The young adult also began mentoring other young people, creating a ripple effect of kindness and support. They encouraged children to pursue their dreams, to embrace learning, and to believe in their own worth. The woman observed these efforts with quiet pride, realizing that her initial act of compassion had not only saved a child, but had also sown seeds of hope and empowerment that would continue to grow. Over time, their joint efforts led to the establishment of a small community center. It became a hub of learning, creativity, and support, offering programs for education, arts, sports, and counseling. Children who once felt invisible or alone now had a safe space to grow, explore, and connect with others. The woman and the young adult worked tirelessly to ensure the center remained a place of warmth, encouragement, and opportunity. As they walked through the center one afternoon, watching children laugh and learn, the woman felt a profound sense of purpose. She remembered the first day she had seen the child alone and afraid, and she marveled at the journey that had led them here. The young adult, now a confident and compassionate leader, moved among the children, offering guidance, support, and encouragement. The woman's heart swelled with pride and gratitude, knowing that her actions had helped shape a life that was now shaping others. They often spoke about the importance of kindness, empathy, and the willingness to step in when someone needed help. They emphasized that everyone has the power to make a difference, and that small acts of compassion can ripple outward in ways that are impossible to measure. The story of the young adult's transformation became a living example, inspiring countless others to notice, care, and act. In quiet moments, the woman reflected on the journey, understanding that her life had been enriched just as much as the child's. She had learned the depth of human resilience, the power of patience, and the beauty of seeing someone grow into their full potential. The young adult's courage, determination, and generosity had shown her that true impact comes from fostering others' strengths, not just offering temporary aid. As years continued, the young adult achieved success in their personal and professional life, always carrying with them the lessons learned and the values instilled by the woman's guidance. They continued to support the community, mentor young people, and create opportunities for growth and development. The woman, in turn, continued to offer support and wisdom, proud of the legacy they were building together. The story of their bond became known in the community, not through fame, but through the tangible changes they inspired. Children who had once struggled now had hope. Families had resources, and the community became stronger and more connected. The ripple effect of one act of kindness, carried forward by trust, love, and shared purpose, had created a lasting impact that went far beyond what either could have imagined. In the quiet of her home, the woman sometimes thought about the journey they had shared. She felt a deep sense of fulfillment, knowing that the life she had touched had grown into something extraordinary. She realized that every moment of care, every act of patience and support, had contributed to a future filled with hope and opportunity. And she knew that this story was not just theirs. It was a reminder to the world that compassion, courage, and kindness can change lives in ways that endure across time. In the end, the woman understood a profound truth, that the greatest legacy one can leave is not in wealth or recognition, but in the lives they help shape, the hope they inspire, and the love they share. The young adult's presence, achievements, and generosity were a living testament to that truth. Together, they had created a cycle of care and impact that would continue for generations, proving that a single act of kindness could indeed change the world.